Connecticut, Mr. Larson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to address the body for 5 minutes and revise and extend my remarks. Madam Speaker, I'm here this morning to talk about Social Security and want to start with commending Chairman Neal of the Ways and Means Committee, and especially for his formation of the Racial Equity Committee, and that was head up by one of the previous speakers, Terry Sewell and Stephen Horsford and Jimmy Gomez. Our great colleague John Lewis said that Social Security would be the next civil rights movement. John had probably no idea about what the pandemic would bring, but what the pandemic has done has underscored the plight and the need of all of our fellow Americans. What I mean by that is this pandemic has hit the country hard. It's turning everybody's lives upside down. There's close to 1 million people in our country that have perished during this pandemic because of COVID-19. But 740,000 plus are over the age of 65. And in that same group over the age of 65 are, of course, the recipients of Social Security. Those recipients also are the people who are on fixed income. People on fixed income are hurt the hardest by the inflationary times that we're in. That's why we have proposed Social Security 2100, a sacred trust that is currently in the process of being marked up in the Ways and Means Committee. It's being marked up so that we can address what Martin Luther King best described as the fierce urgency of now. What is that fierce urgency? For every member of this body to go home and look at your brothers and sisters, their co-workers, the people you go to church and worship with, and understand that it's been more than 50 years since Congress enhanced any benefit in Social Security. A gallon of milk was 71 cents back in 1971. Look at the cost of milk. Look at the cost of gas. Look at the cost of heating and cooling your home. Look at the cost of groceries and prescription drugs. And for Congress to be negligent and not address this issue, this is not something, Madam Speaker, that can be done through executive order, nor is the Supreme Court going to adjudicate. This is the direct responsibility of the United States Congress, and the last time it did something was in 1983. Ronald Reagan was the president. Bob Dole was the Senate leader, and Tip O'Neill the Speaker. They made the program more solvent then, but they did it by cutting benefits, the last of which just went into effect this January with raising the age to 67. Now, it sounds good when you say, well, people are living longer, so we've got to raise the age. But consider the logic. If you're living longer, how is it that you can sustain a cut in Social Security? It hasn't been enhanced in more than 51 years. It's Congress's responsibility. 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Social Security. It affects our rural communities more than it affects our urban communities. And in doing so, who is it impacted? Close to 5 million of our fellow Americans who get below poverty level checks from the federal government at a time we're passing out tax cuts to the wealthiest 1% in this country. If indeed Black Lives Matter and is more than just a slogan, we will be voting on this issue on this floor to send a message to the more than 65 million Social Security recipients that help is on the way. No one will ever work all their lives and then retire into poverty, because we're going to create a new floor that will be 125% of what the poverty level is. And with that, Madam Speaker, I want to urge the body to take a look at Social Security 2100, a sacred trust. This is bipartisan. If you look at the data, 80% of Democrats, 75% of independents, 69% of Republicans agree that these benefits need to be enhanced. It's a common sense, practical way in this pandemic to both deal with inflation and give long overdue relief to our senior citizens. Social Security is the #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly. It's the #1 anti-poverty program for children. And our veterans utilize Social Security disability more than the VA. It's long overdue for this body to do one simple requirement that we all take an oath of office for, and that's to vote. And vote on increasing and enhancing Social Security and its benefits, something that hasn't been done in this body for more than 50 years. With that, I yield back.